A lot of people I feel are under the assumption that everything you guys have done and everything you've ever done has been from analog. I came out on video and said I believe you guys were doing some things from digital, and I want to ask you that question. Are you doing everything analog, or do we have any digital in the process?
We do have 4X DSD, and bog standard DSD is 256 times the sample rate of a CD.
Mhm.
We transfer at 4X DSD, which is 11.3 megahertz. Is that right? The sample rate?
11.2, yeah. Close.
Close enough.
Very
yeah,
close.
very close, but no cigar.
That's still in the decimal point. It's always the...
Damn it.
So what's the process?
Oops.
Walk me through a particular album. Let's take Santana's Abraxas, probably the most famous record you guys have ever done. What is the process for mastering a title like that?
I have no idea. So in that particular example, sorry, I should have been a comedian. No, I shouldn't have. We licensed that title from Sony Music, and through the licensing arrangement, the tape was made available to us there in New York. We will fly a technician there. It's usually Rob Laverty, or I will go with a Studer A80 with the Tim DePervicini reproducer.
Similar machine behind you.
Yeah, right. Although that is a preview machine that has two sets of reproducer electronics, or repros, tape repros we call them. So we'll, very similar to that machine, we transport it in its own road case, and then we will bring a computer and the 4X DSD analog to digital converters with it. And they made the Santana Abraxas original tape.
This is nothing against Mike Esposito. He's not a journalist. He's not a skilled interviewer. He doesn't know what he's doing. And they rolled all over him. And he's a fanboy. And so, for example, he did ask a good question. So, for example, Santana Abraxas, one of your most famous one-steps, how was that produced? They never answered the question. They never did.
So we'll, very similar to that machine, we transport it in its own road case, and then we will bring a computer and the 4X DSD analog to digital converters with it. And they made the Santana Abraxas 4X DSD analog to digital converters with it.
And then he asked them the same question about the Miles Davis. I wanted to know the Miles Davis catalog. Was that from analog or digital? Never answered.
So a lot of the Miles Davis catalog, I mean, that's been extremely well reviewed by countless reviewers as, you know, some of the best sounding Miles has ever come out, you know, especially that 60s era Columbia stuff. Same thing. Those were DSD.
Those were DSD. Those were DSD.
It's been speculated for a while, so I mean, we're putting that to bed. But the one steps have been the DSD transfers. I mean, that's how we're getting around playing those tapes multiple times.
Over and over and
Thriller
over.
is going to be a DSD transfer.
That's correct. We do still get tapes from some record labels and do the mastering here when we can.
And there are times many times where we have to transfer a master tape that is here to digital, to high resolution DSD digital, and cut the lacquer from that transfer.
So your guys and I'm trying to understand what the thought process here. So it's not necessarily because you can't cut from the original tape. That's why you do DSD. You guys, from a mastering perspective, you feel sometimes you can achieve better results doing the quad DSD.
That is correct.
You can.
I would say absolutely. If you look at it, if I may.
The DSD transfers that we do are accurate representations of that tape.
One thing I'd like to add to this is just, I know that this revelation of mobile fidelity cutting from transfers made to digital is sort of anathema to some of our purist fans. And I understand that strictly from what you might read on a piece of paper. But the truth is that us cutting from from digital, digital transfers that we ourselves made is not an example of us losing our way. It's actually an example of us adhering to it.
I'm glad you guys agreed to do this, because I think for most people it's just a matter of tell me what I'm buying, and I'm glad you guys are telling me what's out there and telling everybody else what's out there. I think as a whole, most people are pleased with the results and appreciate what you guys are doing. But people, they just want to know specifically. Maybe you're not going to go into great detail on everything you do and how you do it, but you guys have been pretty good about just giving the approach you guys are taking. And I mean, I appreciate that. I've mentioned in a lot of videos in the past for transparency in labels, because there is a lot of wordsmithing going on with labels in general, to where they'll use the word analog 25 times. There's no analog in the chain. So I've actually called for labels to start being more forthcoming with just information. And I had a conversation with you guys, and I mean, you guys seem pretty on board with that. I mean, where are you guys at in being able to make that happen?
The transparency?
Yes.
Oh.
Tell me how in the future guys are going to be able to know specifically what they're buying.
Well, I would say we're definitely going to come up with some sort of a labeling that we've been talking about, in terms of, we don't know if that labeling is going to exist on the website or if that is going to exist on the product. That is to be determined by us. But what it will do is it will greatly increase transparency to the consumer, because they deserve to know what they're buying. That is true. And I think we're all interested in that for sure. I certainly wouldn't want someone buying something that they did not feel confident in. Mobile fidelity has been a label to trust for 45 years. We certainly don't want that true image to change, for that to become something all of a sudden, oh, it's MoFi. I don't know whether it's analog or digital. And being that is something that the customer has chosen to focus on, we have to acknowledge that. We have to recognize that.